Hello friends and fans. Today's video is all in the title really. I decided to do something a little bit extra with my review video, which is to do a makeup look inspired by the book cover. So today's review slash inspiration for my eye look is for Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Yeah, I didn't really get close to the green that's the cover. That's why I say inspired by. This is how the eye look turned out. I actually don't hate it. The one part I do hate about it is the eyeliner. The liquid liner was a bitch to mess with. This is the look, and I'm looking down because obviously you want to see the eye look and just let me have my beauty guru moment, please, okay? So if you want to see how to get this eye look, which who wants that? Me. And just keep watching, and for those that are here just for the review, I will leave a timestamp below and go directly to the review. So without further ado, let's get started. The review portion for Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Okay, I've created notes for this. That's how dedicated I am to this and how much I enjoyed this book. So Sorcery of Thorns, if you are not familiar, placed in a fantasy world. These magical grimoires can, if damaged, come to life and become these really grotesque monsters. So we follow our main character, Elizabeth Scrivener, who is basically training to be a warden slash keeper in this library. And the story basically starts off with her waking up in the middle of the night and getting this really bad sensation that something's wrong. And when she goes out to explore, she basically finds that one of the grimoires has been set free and has killed the director of the library that she is living in. She ends up getting blamed for this grimoire getting free, even though she risks her life to defeat it. The logic. So she basically gets put on trial and is being escorted by Nathaniel Thorne, who is a sorcerer, and the journey ensues. This book, I think the world building in this book was really well done, especially for something that is depicted as a standalone fantasy. I think it can go one of two ways. Either you get like a Priory of the Orange Tree situation where it's like multiple hundreds of pages long, and you get all of that, or you get something like this that's around 430 pages, with just enough world building that you can comprehend what's going on. That's what I prefer. I'm not looking to invest my time in like a 600 or 800 page book, or is it 1,000? I don't actually know. This is more my speed. The plot itself also moves really quickly, which is awesome to keep you engaged. It kept me engaged the whole time. The fact we start off in the story very much thrown into this world, but also in a way where you can see exactly how Elizabeth's world works. You can see how her life at the library works, all in the first couple of pages, which is awesome. It was just enough to get me to keep reading. I also found that the information in this book was given really gradually, which I super appreciated. I know, especially for fantasy novels, it's really easy to just info dump everything in the beginning, and that it would have turned me off to it very quickly, because a lot of times when authors info dump on you, the reader's kind of left with, well, what's the point of this? Why did you tell me all this? And in this book, in Sorcery of Thorns, it feels like you're given the information very intentionally. You're never given things that are throwaway facts of this world. They're given to you at a very specific time when you need that information to progress forward in the story, which is how you're supposed to do it. A lot of the fight scenes in this book, or any type of action sequence, felt like it was being taken directly from a movie. It was very easy to picture the fight scenes happening. Like, I'm pretty sure some of the scenes in here are like fight sequences I have actually seen in a movie before. So they felt very familiar, and like I wasn't struggling to understand what the heck was happening in that action sequence. Things made a lot of sense throughout this book. I think something beyond all the things that I've already mentioned, the thing that stuck out the most to me are the characters in this. I'm very much, like, plot is great in a story, but what really gets me are the characters. The characters have to feel very real and tangible. They have to make my heart melt, which just talking about this, it's making me do. My heart's melting. I'm an ice cream cone. Or the ice cream, because the ice cream cone doesn't melt, the ice cream melts. But technically the ice cream cone melts because it gets soggy. And my favorite character in this book was Silas. And it was just so good. So Silas, and it's not a spoiler, I don't think, because it's not pertinent to the plot, so it's okay to tell you. But Silas is Nathaniel's demon that he has struck this deal with to become a sorcerer. And Silas is very upfront about what he is and who he is in this book, to make sure that Elizabeth doesn't get any of these misconceived notions, that he is anything more than an evil demon, that if not for this contract with Nathaniel, he would absolutely kill both of them. And it's just so interesting to see that relationship that Silas tries to establish in the beginning of, you know, I'm a demon, don't get things twisted, this is what I am. It's so interesting to see how that changes and morphs in the story. Not Silas's character, because he's pretty much consistent throughout the whole thing. He's very much like, yeah, I'm a demon. Like, I am a demon. There is no good in me. But as Elizabeth, you know, spends more time in the manor with Nathaniel and Silas, seeing their dynamic and the dynamic that she develops with Silas, she is very much like, I love you and I like you in spite of those things that you are. And those things that you are don't exactly define who your character is. So it was just like so beautiful to see that relationship develop and go further, and how Silas remained consistent, but yet at the same time, you want more for him. And it was just so beautifully done. I think Margaret did a fantastic job with Silas's character. I mentioned this in a vlog when I was reading this, but for any of my anime fans out there, if you know Black Butler, and if you're not an anime fan, you should definitely look up Black Butler, because that is literally what Nathaniel and Silas's relationship is. It's literally Black Butler in a book. And it made me want to go back and rewatch the anime, because, listen, I don't watch a lot of anime, but when I do watch them, it has to be good. I have to latch on to characters, and Black Butler basically allowed me to latch on. And that's why I was like, what is this reminding me of? And immediately when Silas was like, I'm a demon, I'm bad, don't get things twisted, and then he was still loving and caring towards Nathaniel, I was like, this is Black Butler. Like, I guarantee you, if I were to ask Margaret Rogerson in person, hey, have you ever seen Black Butler? She'd be like, oh my god, they figured me out. Now let's talk about the romance in this book, because it was good. The development of this relationship, it was slow burn, but also very much like, I don't know, I feel like I'm so used to fantasy YA novels, like, really speeding up the love process. 150 pages of the book, they're already declaring their love for each other. That's not the case with this. And I always thought I was not going to be a fan of slow burn romances until I read this, because I think what Margaret Rogerson does that I would like to say is very tactfully done and wonderful, is that she makes you fall in love with these characters individually before you fall in love with them together. Because there's a part in this book, a couple, like, I would say maybe 100 pages, where Elizabeth is on her, not on her own, but her and Nathaniel are separated. She was going through the ringer. She went through a lot of stuff in those 100 pages, traumatic stuff, and stuff that I honestly was like, my heart's hurting for you. Like, this is going through the shitter like multiple times. And so I was like, okay, when's Nathaniel gonna bust through the door and save her? When is, Nathaniel and Silas gonna rescue the girl, right? And that was not the case. This is very much a story where Elizabeth is saving herself multiple times. She is putting herself on the front line multiple times. It never is like, oh, I'm damsel in distress, I need a man to come save me, which I love. And I don't know, I just felt the way that Elizabeth pulled it off, or the way that Margaret wrote it, it was very, very inspiring, and I really loved that. A lot of things get resolved, and maybe it's because this is supposed to be a standalone, but it just felt like we were maybe 50 or so pages above the limit here. My attention was starting to wander a little bit towards the end, especially once, the big thing happens at the end and you realize there's still more pages to go. I was like, well, okay, like, where are we going with this? It took a little bit too long to finally get to the end where that thing happens. So yeah, my only thing, it's a little bit longer than I think it needed to be, but I mean, for that ending, I'm not complaining. I gave this book 5 stars. I mean, it's anywhere between 5 and a 4.75, but it's basically a 5-star read. I loved this so much. It was so much fun to be in this world and to be with these characters. I already miss them so much, especially Silas, so I'm already planning, hopefully not this month because I have way too much to get through, but I would love to do a reread of this and actually annotate it. My heart is just so full, and it's because of this book, and I love it so much. So thanks to everyone on book Twitter that was talking about this. So that was my review for Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've read this book, please leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. Did we have different opinions on it? Was it not your favorite? Why wasn't it your favorite? Because we're gonna have a talk. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Also leave a comment if my makeup is totally horrendous and I fucked up massively, because I feel like I did, but what are you gonna do, right? It's already done. Anyways, thanks guys, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!